Hey everybody, Brother Goodwin here, Prophecy in the Spotlight. We've got a great show for you today, and Doc is in the studio. I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks back, Doc we were talking here on the set, and Doc was telling us about preaching at his church, his home church, about some end-time signs, a whole bunch of them that he had. And we got a bunch of emails and text messages. People say, hey, we'd like to hear that. So we've put a show together. We got 3 or 4 pages here of topics that point to the end time, and it's unbelievable. And I thought we'd share them with you today. So fasten your seatbelt and stand by. Hey, welcome to the show. I think you're going to enjoy what we got for you today. Most of this is from Doc. He printed off 3 or 4 pages for us, Doc. End time evidence, as you call it.
Right.
And by the way, if anybody would like a copy of this, we're kind of putting Doc on the spot here, but he's agreed to send you in an envelope. It'd be nothing fancy. Just he'll print these off.
Yeah. They were the notes that I used.
This
when
is
I preached the sermon.
Right. Now, It doesn't give any details about them, but it mentions like a line, a topic. These things pointing to the fact
things that are evidence.
Yeah. So if anyone would like them, just go to the web. You can contact Doc. He would ask you to pay the postage and handling, but other than that, it won't be much, probably $5 or something. He'll send this whole thing to you if you'd like to have it. And all right, well, Doc, you got a verse for us to start us out about the end time signs.
Of course, everybody's familiar with when you hear Matthew 24 in the prophecy world. Everybody says, "Okay, we know where we're at."
Yeah.
So, verse number 4, chapter 24 says, "And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you." Man, that's an important thing. He said, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows."
And the beginning of sorrows meaning, I think it's interesting, we talked about this on the update that we did, the fact that he says the end is not yet, but then he goes on and says, because this is getting ready to happen, nation rising against nation, kingdom against famines, pestilences, earthquakes.
Right.
And then he says that these are the beginning of sorrows.
The beginning. Sorrows is birth pains, like a lady's getting ready to give birth to a child. These, he said, are signs that the tribulation is about to come.
Yeah. In other words, the doctor will ask, well, how many minutes apart are your pains? And he knows whether he needs to hurry or not. And of course, it ain't like that anymore. We go to the hospital. But back in the old days.
That's basically what Christ is saying.
And we're in some severe birth pains, aren't we, John?
Oh, man, we're in the throes of it every day.
Well, what I want to do in the show, Doug, is I want us to stay away from the ones that we hit all the time, the obvious ones that we talk about.
Yes.
Men running to and fro from Daniel. Yes. The signs of the times that we love to talk about.
Well, I've got a list of maybe 50 here or so.
Yeah,
maybe 60.
And a lot of these are not normal ones that you think about. And so I want to start. I want to start with this one, and of course we'll let you talk about whatever you want, but I do want you to talk about the satellite buildup, because that's not something you would think of.
No.
But yet it is important in the end times.
Oh, people don't realize, but the satellite buildup is going to enable the Antichrist and his kingdom to literally govern everybody on planet Earth. They'll know where you're at. They'll know what you've done. They'll know all your financial transactions. Satellite's important. Secondly, the satellite systems that are being built up there are many of them for warfare. They have laser beams and all these other things. Years ago, I wondered how's the false prophet and the Antichrist, how are they going to call down fire from heaven? Nobody would ever question it today. It could easily be done.
Yeah.
And it's not just a missile, but with laser and the ability, it's unbelievable.
And we're hearing about lasers now.
Yes.
I think I heard that Israel now has some pretty powerful laser
They have a defense
equipment.
system based on laser, works perfect.
Yeah.
We'll not go into great depth. I'm not a great conspiracy guy, but something very unique has happened.
Maui.
Something very unique has happened there.
Yeah.
Not only there, but somebody sent me a picture on Facebook of a beam of light that had come down and done a destructive manner in somewhere. I'm telling you, the satellite buildup and space programs is going to
Yeah.
play into the end
Well,
times.
they talk about, don't get into, conspiracy theory. They cause these. They put up a black wall. They won't let people in. They won't let them fly a drone to take video. Why is that?
Yeah.
It's because they're hiding something.
They're hiding. Somebody said, well, they're hiding their discovery of the. Did you realize there's over 2,000 children missing?
Yeah. And that's what I was going to bring up next. The schools are half empty, and nobody's where's the kids?
Yep.
I mean, they all died or what?
Well, I don't,
something strange.
I'm telling you, we need to move on because I could get pretty hot here.
Yeah.
This is something.
All
I
right.
have 27 grandchildren. It's a hot button with me.
All right, on the list here, and this is one that I have written about, and she'll put a copy of my 7 Clocks book. In my 7 Clocks, a Ticking book, I have a chapter that deals with, I believe it's in that book, about warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And
The atomic.
yeah,
Atomic. Yeah.
yeah, I believe it's in that book. But anyway, this is important. And in 1945, everything changed with
Yes.
the advancement of the nuclear. What I call we entered the nuclear age, and
Since then, Dan, the developments is so far beyond. It's unreal.
they said that the hydrogen bomb that came out like in 1950, 51 was 1,000 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Japan.
In Hiroshima. And I could give you some science, but it's
And
not
that's
the
been
place to
70
do it,
years,
but
70 some years. What do we got now?
in the joules of energy, the joules of energy that is stored in the human body is over 1,000 times greater than the bomb at Hiroshima. In other words, we wonder who holds it all together. I know who holds it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nuclear warfare, and part of me says, though, wait a minute, maybe we've left nuclear warfare. Maybe there's something else now that we don't even know about.
I'm convinced
Because nuclear warfare is messy.
Yeah.
They need something, and I think they have some things that they can take out a city
Well, they
without
can take
destroying
out,
it.
They can take out the inhabitants. They can take out biological without destroying the infrastructure.
And in warfare, if you want to, now if you're just defending yourself, you don't care. You just blow stuff up. But if you want to take over that kingdom, you can't. You let out nuclear bombs. Nobody's going to live there for
Nobody's going to be
100
in there
years,
for
right?
a long time. You're
Yeah.
right. Exactly right.
So we know Israel's not going to get nuked because it would it would end
absolutely.
a lot of prophecy. So
But the millennial reign will be a remake over anyway. But yes,
right, yeah. But I mean, it would affect what happens
Yes, it
during the
would.
tribulation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because we know they're going to have the temple. The people are going to be there. That wouldn't be possible
No.
if nuclear devices
That's right.
were blown up there, at least as we know right now. Well, Doc, just pick something there. What do you want to tell us about some of these?
I don't
some
know.
of
I've
these
got
evidences?
such a big long list, folks.
Well, you
It's
wrote
unreal.
it, Doc.
Well, one of the things that we're watching that I think is a sign of the time is the blurring of transgenderism. All of this is leading the thinking of people back to the days of Nimrod and the worship of the original false god.
Babylon.
Yes, exactly. And the mutilation of children through all of this, it's sad to see what's happening.
It's
sad.
criminal.
It is
it's
criminal.
Absolutely criminal.
It is.
I can't believe that any doctor in America or any country
anywhere
would do such a procedure.
Yeah. Somebody asked, I saw on video the other day, somebody asked a guy in Africa, he said, in America there are many different genders of humanity. How many do you have? And he said, well, there's a man and a woman.
Yeah.
Only educated fools
Yep.
is where we're at.
It's a
these
religion.
are signs.
Yep. It's a religion. It's a system. And,
Yes, it
and
is.
it's a shake your fist at God.
It is exactly.
It's saying, I don't want to be in His image. I don't want to be a Bible believer. I don't want to have anything to do with what the Bible says. And
Well, that's what this plant-based food's all about, because God said it's good to eat the meat that He's
Yep.
provided. And so anything that God said is good, it's what and you don't even know, I haven't eaten any of these chicken nuggets lately, but they say they're plant-based foods now at McDonald's. Many places are preparing it. It won't be long because they're going to do everything they can for you as a farmer to no longer have actual cattle or any meat on your property. Because they're trying to say, another one of them on here is climate change movement. I call it green goddess worship. And it has taken over the entire world. It's unbelievable. It's zero science.
Yep.
From any direction. It's zero science from just understanding basic science with biological life, and then it's zero science in the research that's going on.
Well, let me tell you who does not believe in it. Barack Obama does not believe in it. The property that he bought in Massachusetts there on the ocean, millions of dollars, and he's the one telling us that that's going to be underwater in a few years. Yet he bought that.
Yet
property.
he bought that property.
And not just him. There's people all over the world.
Well, not only that, but let's go back to that Maui thing. You know who really wants to own the rest of all that? They already own big, Bezos and the lady on television that's got so much money and all of these people. Oh yeah,
Oprah.
yeah. So if this is real, why do they want to buy oceanfront property?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, folks, it's strictly governmental control. And but once you get people's mindset, synthetic meat is, like, as I said, the politicalization of medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't trust your doctor,
Yeah.
because he's a part of the system. If he doesn't go along with the line, he can't get his insurance. If he doesn't have his insurance, he can't practice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all political.
They're all employees of the hospital
That's right.
system now.
Yes.
And who's in charge of the hospital? I'm not.
Well, the World
I'm not
Health
su-
Organization, that's another one.
Yeah.
The World Health Organization now has usurped the
Well, we've given it to them.
sovereignty. They now have
Yeah.
overruling the sovereignty of any nation.
Yeah. They can decide lockdowns and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a mess. The civil unrest that you're seeing, but when you're led by lawless people, you're going to have a lawless society, and nobody has any trust in their government anymore, whether it's in America or anywhere around the world. This is a problem, and fearful sights.
Now,
The media can make anything look like real. You're living with fearful sights every day if you watch too much of the media.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were getting ready to say?
Well, let's just pause for a second and thank the folks out there that support us every week and every month. We are viewer supported. We have no sponsors. We are 100% viewer supported, and we want to thank you all very much for sending the checks or picking up the phone and calling the 800 number and giving over the phone. We would not be here if it were not for the gifts of you, the viewer. And now we're coming up on, I think, probably when this airs, Doc, probably 2 weeks before the bill is due. And as of right now, we're not there yet. We're still lacking. We don't have enough to pay. We pay every 3 months. We're on CTN nationwide every Friday night at 7 Eastern time. But we're also on VTN, which is a cable network in Arkansas, the whole state of Arkansas. Most of it anyway, I think, and a little bit of Missouri there on the borders. So we pay every 3 months for CTN, and we pay monthly for VTN. And right now we are not quite there. We're still behind a few $1,000s. If you can help, we'd love to hear from you. Call the 800 number. Somebody will answer that phone. One of my daughter or my wife or somebody will answer that phone, and we'll take your credit card over the phone and do that. Or if you need the address to send a check, we get a lot of checks that show up A lot of people do it that way. You can also sign up to be a monthly giver. You can actually support, you can actually do a automatic monthly payment, and we can help you with that if you need it. And we appreciate you all very much. And God always does it, Doc. We get to the end of the billing cycle, and suddenly the money shows up.
We're very, very thankful for it.
And
Yes.
so anyway, we're very thankful for that. So, Doc, let's continue on here with some evidences that we are in the end times. And there's just
There's such a list of them.
there's more than you realize. I mean, you start looking at these. Oh, yeah, this is end time stuff.
It's amazing what's going on. Let's ship over just a little bit in a bracket over here. I've got some things that are a little in a different category,
Okay.
so to speak. And one of the things that's setting the stage for the end time is the Islamic sympathizing. Everybody's being told that Islam is a religion of peace. Mm-hmm. It has never been a religion of peace. And it's going to play a role because I believe they are the representatives of the kings of the South in the tribulation days. Mm-hmm. I think that's the Islamic Caliphate. And we're seeing those things. You're watching the rising, I believe, of the four kings for the tribulation days. The king of the West, I'm convinced, is the Antichrist. I think that's coming out of the Roman Empire. We call it the old Roman Empire, but Europe is basically the Roman Empire.
Yeah. And we're part of that.
We're part of that. If we're still having any role in it all by that time, the rate we're going, we're about to destroy ourselves. But then you're seeing the solidification of the king of the north, Russia, right now. I watched last night, three men that are in the know on YouTube, and they were saying, all three of them independently, Russia right now can defeat anybody in Europe. Yeah. NATO cannot. If anybody doesn't understand that we've given to the Ukraine so much of our stuff, I doubt seriously if we could defeat Russia. These three men who've been at this for years in their life all agreed that right now, if Russia wanted to, they could defeat anybody in the NATO nations. And so the king of the north is solidifying. The king of the east, it's pretty obvious, China is solidifying.
Yeah.
You're watching the financial thing with the BRICS becoming stronger. It's getting ready to take over. I don't know if it's going to become the final one. It may just be a phase that's leading us to that final financial control. But the American dollar is about out on its control. And you're watching now, you're hearing a lot more talk about replacing Lebanon or Jordan with Saudi Arabia in control over the Temple Mount, because Saudi Arabia wants to let Israel build their temple.
Wow.
I mean, you're watching these things happen. And so when you get to the Ezekiel 38 war, Saudi Arabia, Dedan and Sheba, they're not involved against Israel. They're standing, but they're not going to help them. And so you're watching the Palestinian movement. You're watching America is no longer the leader in all of this. China is stepping in as a negotiator. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, no doubt, you go down through it, the steps for the Gog and Magog war, all of it is being solidified for the tribulation right now.
And you have here grappling over the Temple Mount. Now, this is interesting what you just said about Saudi Arabia and wanting to take over that Temple Mount.
All of it is in relationship with this Abrahamic Accords that they started, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, Trump did that. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And as a result, Saudi Arabia and many others, I don't remember how many signed on to it now, but a lot of Islamic countries that never would. And of course, it's to them, it's an economic thing. But the hold up to it right now is America is trying once again to cause Israel to give up land for peace with Saudi Arabia. Well, Israel can't give up any more land. But it is in the works, and there are people that want this to happen.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And the rising of the kings, the Islamic, or the Iranian pursuit of the atomic bomb, I think that's maybe, I have a book, she might put it up there, On the Edge of Dawn, and I have 7 prophetic passages brought into the current setting in that book. And I'm telling you, I'm convinced that the 49th chapter of Jeremiah talks about this thing with Iran.
So explain that title, The Edge of Dawn. She has that up on the screen.
Yeah,
Explain what's
well,
the cover all about there?
I believe we're at the edge of the dawning of the day of the Lord. And so I called it the Edge of Dawn, because one of these days it's going to be the day of the Lord. But these are all evidences or signs, prophetic signs that God's given us that lead us to the day of the Lord. Mm-hmm. And I call it the edge of the day of the Lord.
So did you say there were like 7 things in that book?
7 prophetic passages. I can't remember all of them. I know one of them is Ezekiel 38.
Okay.
And one
So
of
that kind of goes hand in hand with
Yeah.
our discussion today.
And one of them is Romans chapter 1, the road of Romans chapter number 1, the disintegration, not just only of the world, but there I believe he's talking about the disintegration of what we would call the church age.
Yeah.
And
of course, the
wokeism.
great apostasy is
The great
here.
apostasy. That's another one of the things that's on the list. The great apostasy, it's everywhere.
I was talking to a preacher the other day. It might have been Brother Jordan, I can't remember. And he agreed. He said, people that I know, churches, pastors, evangelists, they're just going into crazy stuff
Yes,
now.
they are. And when you look at mainline churches, man, they are falling in with this pride movement, this I call it the alphabet soup,
Yeah.
because every day they try to add another something to it. And I make a thing over here. I said less than 1% of the population is dictating how the 99% are supposed to think and talk.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
and music. I was talking I was
yes.
talking to somebody on the phone about, and that came up. And I said, music. I said, the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Your ancestors came out of Germany.
Yes.
And that's where we believe that story
Right.
came from. I was studying it one day, and there's a lot of uncertainties as to where it started, how old it is. But man, we all remember that story. There's been movies made of the Pied
Yes.
Piper. And of course, the story goes that they had rats, and so this guy said, "Look, if you'll pay me, I'll get them rats. I can get them rats out of
Yeah.
here." So they said, "Sure, you do it." So he plays his flute, and all the rats follow him out of town. But then they didn't pay him.
So
And
he
they
took
said-
all their kids.
Yeah. So
and that's exactly what's happening.
music
Yes.
is powerful, and he comes back, and what a prophetic story.
And it's taking away our children.
I'd like to know some history on it. I wonder what that guy understood that wrote that. What if he understood what he
What
was?
if he had
some insight there?
I hadn't thought about that, but I'm going to do a little research on that.
He stole their children because they
Yep.
wouldn't pay him. So he come in and he used music to draw.
And that's what's happening in the church age.
Yeah.
Because the same music that's being sung in a charismatic Catholic church is sung in a charismatic church. It's sung in a modern Methodist church. It's sung in Baptist churches. You just go down the line. Same songs, written many of them by immoral,
Yeah.
impure individuals, and most of it, folks listen to me, most of it uses terminology of things in nature to represent the character traits of God.
Yeah.
They sing about a rock, they sing about the wind, they sing about the cloud, it's about a river, it's about the water. Instead of using Bible terms of the character traits of God, they are literally worshiping creation
Yeah.
rather than the creation, and don't even know it.
I wrote a sermon years ago when I was still in Bible college and preached it on my church bus. And never had anything satanic fighting against me like I did when I worked on that message. And I actually gave little lines out of some of the songs back in that day. Oh, wicked, vile stuff.
Yes.
And this would have been the 80s.
Yep.
And but I mean, it didn't start there.
Well, I don't know. Every once in a while, I pull up to the stoplight and feel my car.
Oh, the
my
bass,
truck's
the
just
beat.
shaking like this. And people can't live with that. And this rap music, the greater majority of rap music, they call it Christian rap.
No such
Anyway.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sermon that I wrote, powerful stuff. I said every song, good song and bad song, has three things. It has, number one, has an author. Somebody wrote it.
Yes.
And you mentioned that. Some of them are not good people.
Yep.
That write these Christian songs.
Yep.
Number two, every song has a message. It may be something silly, it may be something funny,
Yes.
but there's a message
It's a
there.
message.
And it's a message for good or for bad. And then number three, every song has a power. I love music.
Yeah.
I'll tell the viewers a little secret here. When I'm writing, and that's often, I'm at my computer and I'm writing, I have certain things that I play in the background, music, that inspires me and moves me. And because music's powerful.
Well, music is very powerful.
But it can be powerful in other ways too. Hitler used music for his marching and
right.
for affecting people.
I was on hold the other day with a VA, which is not uncommon if you're going to call them. It's a long hold. And it wasn't long until about the third time around, I was listening to all those marches. You know, they play all these military marches. Man, I caught myself almost wanting to march again. That music moved me.
That Navy one come on, and you said, "Man,
No,
Dan's right. The Navy's the
it was
nut."
it was that Air Force one. But anyway, yeah, it's powerful. But this is a thing. One of the other evidences is what's happening to the church,
Yeah,
and it's sad.
music's destroying us. We don't know where the Bible is anymore.
Nobody wants to be a peculiar people, zealous of good works,
Yeah.
and that's what God purchased us for.
Yeah, sad.
Because nobody wants to be a Romans 12, 1 or 2. When somebody asks me to sign their Bible, I'll always sign, not on my name, but I'll put Romans 12, 1 and 2. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. He said, don't be conformed to this world.
Yep. Be ye
And
transformed.
this is what's happened to our churches.
Yeah.
They're trying to please the world rather than please God.
Well, Doc, we're in the final half a minute here.
And we got 40 more.
She put up a book that you can get on Doc's website. I think she put up one of my books that deal with some of these things here. Thanks for listening in today and watching our program. Remember to call that 800 number or email us or drop a check in the mail if you can to keep us on the air. We appreciate it very much. And hope you know Jesus. Hope you're ready to meet him because he's coming soon. We just gave you just a few off the list of these evidence. But until next time, keep your eyes on them skies.